I think it's going to be in the realm of financialization that we'll see these innovations where it's like, oh, but I thought this how it's done, and it turns out we can do it way more reliably with Bitcoin. I think that that'll be a theme over and over. I also think that derivatives are a valuable thing, are important for people to manage risk and those kind of things. So that'll happen. I mean, just financially speaking, a lot of assets can be shorted against Bitcoin. That's kind of cool, right? Where like if you see things you don't like, you can just kind of build some short exposure against your Bitcoin position, and in a way you're pushing the market to where it needs to go, where fraud is being stamped out and things like that. In the 80s, there were a lot of short hedge funds because the money was strong and it made sense to short against the dollar. So now we're entering a new era where we have another strong money, and so some of these excesses that we've seen, part of why they're there is because they can just proliferate and they're not being punished. Like we need a financial predator to be able to like cull the population of, so to speak, of these fraudulent organisms.
What are your thoughts on, so AI has just been nuts in the past year. It's gotten a little crazy. How does this, it almost seems like these two worlds are about to collide between Bitcoin, immediate settlement, Lightning, and all the resourcing that's required from a computation standpoint for AI. What are your thoughts around that?
Maybe this goes back to like reading Ray Kurzweil back in 2005, I think, where he was talking about, the singularity and kind of just that organic evolution towards hyperintelligence that has gone on for many hundreds of years, thousands of years, in his opinion. So I don't have that fear of like, oh my God, like what is this? And I also I always think in markets, like even when you're thinking about governments, like governments compete with each other. Like there is that political market. We don't have a world government. I don't think we'll ever have one. And so it doesn't make sense to me to make an abstraction of AI and be like the AI is going to take over. Like no, they're going to compete with each other. There's going to be a multitude of AIs. And I was talking to Dhruv Bansal about this. He's the CTO at Unchained, and he and I are actually doing a panel in Miami. So I'm kind of like spilling the beans a little bit because he has such a fascinating take on this. His take is that the AI world is an ecosystem. It's going to be an ecosystem, and the way that you see boundaries between organisms, like how do you, because they're going to interface with each other. And in the real world, well, there's you have cells, and cells have walls, and that's how. And of course, physical animals have they have skin, and so like, what is going to be the boundary between AIs, like, and to prevent them from just being a blob that doesn't know how to allocate resources. And he's saying that what the food that they need is CPU. They need to have that electricity to run the machines, and also the machines need to be replaced. So they need to interface with the real world somehow. They need to be able to basically bargain for more electricity or more CPUs. They're going to have to trade with us basically, and we cannot outthink them. They're probably going to become smarter than us, but we could trade with them, and the most likely currency is going to be Bitcoin, because they can, how do you know the difference between one AI organism from the other is that one knows the private key and the other one doesn't. So they can even check for themselves, like, are you a part of me or not? It's like, hey, can you sign this message? And then if they can, it means they don't have access to the consciousness that you do as an AI. So it's just this. He has this fascinating take. It's much more elaborate than that, but that, yeah, basically Bitcoin could be this peaceful technology that allows us to coexist and thrive together as an AI/human society.